Alright, so Dead by Daylight came out back in 2016, and now this shit is big. It's so big, in fact, that a new player may feel intimidated by all the DLC killers they can buy. Thankfully, that's where I come in, since I have no life and no value for saving money, so I could sit here and tell you, should you buy? The Blight is the newest addition to the Dead by Daylight roster. And at first, everyone seemed to think this man was trash tier, myself also included. But the Blight has made a comeback story in the year 2020 where everything is in chaos. So to begin, let's see how it's like to be the Blight.
This kid's definitely on crack right now.
So yeah, as you can guess, the Blight is actually a crackhead where his power involves running really fast and smashing his damn temple into any solid object he can find. Honestly, if I knew it was this much fun to be a crackhead, I would have tried it a long time ago. Okay, but seriously, don't do crack. Anyways, let's get into his power. Blight's power is Blighted Corruption. When activated, the Blight will consume a token and initiate a rush that allows him to dash forward at a breakneck pace. However, what you must know is during this time, he cannot attack until he slams his entire body into a damn wall, which will then remind the Blight he has survivors he needs to beat. Slamming into a wall will stop your rush, but you can consume another token to activate a lethal rush. During the lethal rush is when you can finally attack survivors, which will cause him to end his rush, whether he hits a survivor or not. However, you can rush as many times as you want, as long as you crash into a wall and have tokens to consume. And yes, tokens will replenish themselves after a short cooldown. Now that we got the power out the way, let's talk about the pros and cons of it to see if you might like this killer. The pros are, this power, in my personal opinion, is the most fun in the game. You could get this experience slightly with Billy and Oni, but slamming into walls and being incredibly unpredictable with your movement and landing that sweet lethal rush hit not only is a blast, but it is also rewarding as well. If you like killers with map pressure, Blight is the killer for you. In one moment, he will be on one side of the map, and after slamming into multiple walls, he will be on the other side in no time. Blight's add-ons are actually good. This has been a gripe I've had with recent killers where the add-ons would make me so damn confused on why they are purple or green. Looking at you, Deathslinger. But as of this video, the green add-on that reveals survivors' auras within 16 meters of a wall you slammed in is insane, and oh, they nerfed it in the last patch as I was writing the script. Yeah, that sounds about right. Well, his turning speed and cooldown recovery add-ons are definitely something you'll want to experiment with, since I believe it can make him even more manageable even for console players. If you like a killer that gets even stronger with their add-ons, Blight might catch your interest. He has the most chaotic playstyle yet. If you like to play a killer that is constantly thinking of their next move, you will feel right at home playing Blight. Now for the cons we have, similar to Oni and Billy, this killer requires a good amount of turning and steering. I know for some console players, this can be a deal breaker because of the nature of the controller turn rates. So, if you are a console player, please keep this in mind. Although his power is simple, he is not a beginner killer. To play Blight properly, you have to have map knowledge, know how to predict survivor movements, and know how to think on your toes. All of which are something experienced Dead by Daylight players possess. But new players may need more time to learn before they pick up Blight. And that's it for the pros and cons of the power, but let's see if his perks can sell you on him. First we got Dragon's Grip. This perk activates when you kick a generator, and for the next 30 seconds, the first survivor to touch that gen will scream, revealing their location and becoming exposed for 60 seconds, meaning they will be one-hit downs for that entire time. The perk has a cooldown with a maximum of 120 seconds and a minimum of 80 seconds, both of which can immensely change how good this perk is. At 120 seconds, I think the cooldown is too long to really be worth it when you have other perks that give constant effects that will benefit you more. However, at 80 seconds, the perk becomes much better. Besides the cooldown, the only downside is the fact that you have to pick a single gen and spend time kicking it and hope a survivor touches it within 30 seconds. If a survivor doesn't touch it in 30 seconds, you just wasted your time. But if a survivor did touch it, then you could get an easy hook as long as you could catch them. This perk will work best with killers that either have stealth or high mobility. So think killers like Wraith, Billy, Blight, Ghostface, Myers, and even Freddy with his teleport. Personally, I think this is a decent perk that can make stealth and mobility killers incredibly deadly. Other than that, there are more options to explore if you don't play killers like that. Next, we have Hex, Blood Favor. This Hex activates when you hit a survivor and will block pallets within a 16-meter radius of your location for 15 seconds. Meaning during this time, survivors cannot drop the pallets, making them useless. Blood Favor has a cooldown with a maximum of 60 seconds and a minimum of 40 seconds. So with this perk, you can make some maps that have really safe pallets all around it be totally useless and get easy downs from it. However, you might get indoor maps where windows are more accessible than pallets, making this more situational. Not to mention in late game, when more pallets will be gone from the map means there will be times where you will get a hit and enter a cooldown with nothing to gain from it. For now, I say this perk may be hurt the most by its cooldown, since I think Hex perks are a threat that needs to be taken care of because of how strong they are. This perk at times doesn't feel strong enough to warrant a Hex, especially when you look at the Hex perks such as Ruin, Devour Hope, and even Huntress Lullaby. Alright, now, let's talk about the last perk, and what may end up being the main selling point until it hits the shrine. I'm talking about Hex Undying, and dear lord is this perk incredibly strong, and has won me games on its own. While Undying is active, any survivor within a 2-meter radius of a Hex totem will have their aura revealed for a minimum of 4 seconds and a maximum of 6, which not only offers protection for your Hex totems, but at times can give you lucky breaks with survivors who happen to walk close to them. Not to mention, I've noticed Inner Strength is getting more popular, so this can definitely be a counter to that. That's not all. Undying single-handedly made Hex builds more viable with its second feature, which is when another Hex totem that is not Undying is cleansed, will be transferred to another dull totem. If you're running stuff like Devour Hope or Huntress Lullaby, you will lose your tokens, but that's still worth it seeing how you can have those Hex perks along with Ruin up for the entire game. Like I mentioned before, I have won games as killer and even lost games as survivor because of this perk. I know a lot of people still have major problems with gen speeds in this game, and if you're one of those people, Undying makes this DLC worth the price tag alone. And even if you're not someone who likes to run Ruin, having the chance to make Hex Haunted Grounds active the entire game is absolutely hilarious. This perk is the MVP of the DLC. I really can't recommend it enough. That's all for the killer perks. So let's show the survivors some love and give a look at the new perks this pack offers the survivors. But before we show the survivors some love, allow me to be a shill and plug my Twitch channel where I stream Dead by Daylight among other things. We are a small community, so it's pretty easy to catch my attention if you want to ask me anything. And if not, you can sit back and enjoy a chill stream with even more chill people in chat. Oh, we also got this sick clown and Yui emo for tier 1 and tier 2 subs. Join the sad clown gang. Alright, moving along to possibly the most OP perk in the history of the game, Visionary, which will allow you to see generators within 32 meters. No, I'm not fucking kidding. They literally added a see generators perk to the game and called it a day. I'm gonna need to be honest, I'm not even gonna list the pros and cons of this perk, because I mean, like, it's literally just see gens. Like, what else can I say about this perk? Anyways, moving on, we have Desperate Measures, where your healing and unhooking speeds increase for each injured, hooked, or dying survivor. This increase ranges from a minimum of 10% and a maximum of 14%. So at tier 3, you can have a max of 56% increase in healing and unhooking, which sounds insane when compared to Botany Knowledge's 33%. But that's the thing you have to keep in mind. Botany Knowledge gives you an increased speed in healing throughout the entire game, meaning you will always have that 33% applied. But Desperate Measures requires people to be hurt for it to activate, meaning you'll only be getting the full benefit when your team is in a bad spot. Another thing to keep in mind is when survivors start dying, that's a 14% increase you will not be getting back, meaning over the course of the game, Desperate Measures will have diminishing returns. Personally, I would pick Botany Knowledge over Desperate Measures, but hey, if you want, you can easily run both of them and create a healer build that focuses on making healing as fast as possible. Finally, we have Build to Last, which I think is pretty underrated. Build to Last activates once per trial when you deplete an item. After 10 seconds, your depleted item will have its charges refilled for a minimum of 30% to a maximum of 50%. This means you can get more bang for your buck out of your items in general, especially if you run add-ons that increase the charges of your items, meaning you could potentially double your charges by using your add-ons and then waiting for Build to Last to refill what is left. And don't even get me started on adding Nia's perk Streetwise, which reduces item consumption rate. I really don't have anything bad to say about this perk. It's pretty straightforward and gives you a good benefit. So if you want to do some degenerate item builds, this is the perk for you. Now that we covered everything, let's do the pros and cons of the chapter as a whole. For the pros, this chapter includes probably one of the most fun killers we have seen in a while. Trust me when I say the crackhead experience is amazing. Hex Undying is an incredibly strong perk, and if Hex Ruin is a staple in your perk loadout, this perk alone may make the DLC worth your money. While Desperate Measures isn't great on its own, both that and Build to Last make excellent support perks that already make established perks even stronger. I'm not gay, but the new survivor, Felix Richter, you could get it. Okay, maybe a little gay. Anyways, moving on to the cons, we have the fact that the Blight is another steering-based killer may want to make console players wait on this DLC. Dragon's Grip and Blood Favor are okay perks, but both feel like they can be very situational. Visionary is a perk that is only useful if you literally have less than 4 hours in the game. This, in my opinion, should have been a perk that was given to everyone. The Blight is a killer that is best used when controlled by players that have experience in the game. If you are new to the game, you may want to hold off on buying this DLC until you can get more game experience. That's it for this little review of the Descend Beyond chapter. If you liked the video, you should like the video, and maybe leave a comment on what you think about this DLC. Be sure to subscribe so you can catch the next Should You Buy, and also my upcoming videos of killer guides and more. I'm Chris from Genuine Chill, and thank you for watching.